Perfect. Welcome, everyone. Appreciate it. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about, I know last week we did a lot about sellers and sellers checklist, and some individual people then also asked me for buyers checklist and kind of what to do, and kind of going through that, going through that process with buyer checklist. So feel free, please, if there's something that you guys want to put in chat, anything that you want to add that you go, hey, I really feel that we need some help on something, put it in chat. Then we can actually have those as our upcoming classes that we can have as well. But if you have anything that you want to add to this too, I know we've got some seasoned agents, some brand new agents. So anything that's worked really well for you, feel free. This is always a interactive learning experience. I try, to be it that way. Sometimes I feel like I just vomit all over everyone, and then I don't let anybody kind of like share. So feel free to share. But I want to, our purpose here is to really, we're all in this together to get the best buyers and sellers experience and the best customer service that we possibly can. So I hope today that you'll learn some things. There's the bit.ly link right down there that I have there. It will be shown back again at the very end of this as well. I have not put the buyer checklist in there, but last week the seller's checklist is in there. So anything that we're doing as far as training, I'm just throwing all of that into this new link so you guys can have it. So I will add the summit information that we did a couple weeks back in there as well. So there it is there. But before we kind of go on that, anybody feel that there's maybe a slight market shift happening? Got some yeses. So I love the picture here. So I'm not sure if we're moving, the house is moving, or just the camera. But with that said, I want to share a couple things before we begin with the buyer checklist. Is that the market shift. What happens on a market shift is that there's so much news out there about what's going to happen. Is the market crashing? Because of those who were involved with the crash of the market many years ago, they're kind of worried. The fear and worry kind of comes in. And so you kind of worry, there's fear starts building and building. You hear all this news, and then people start getting too worried about it. But I want you guys to realize that, scarcity mindset or abundant mentality. And so there's really a choice here. I'm not sure which way you guys want to go. I would rather go right on my screen here because, I don't know which side. Is it right on your guys' screen too? Jessica, is it? Okay, good. So just kind of, hello, Victoria's in the house. That's very nice. So, it's important for us to understand and keep that mindset, because the market can shift. I'm not saying it's going to be any kind of a crazy crash, because it just always will shift. We've been waiting for over probably like 4 or 5 years removed from the normal 7 or 8 year up and down in the market. And so we've just been on this tear kind of going up. But I want you guys to know this. And Greg, we got, I'll mute somebody right there. I got that one. All right. So I want to share this a little bit. Some of you guys have been doing this for a long time. Again, those who are new, if you're doing what you're doing now, like if you're just doing kind of like doing your normal basics and the market shifts like this, you will probably be less productive or have less income in the next several months. If you do a little bit more than you're doing right now, then you'll be about the same. But if you want to actually do a lot more and you want to grow, then you've got to do a lot more. So keep that in mind. So does it feel like you guys are working harder, or is it still, let me know what your guys' markets are. Does it feel still pretty strong? Buyers, sellers, more inventory? What's your guys' feelings?
I feel like I have to work a little harder, put out more advertising, especially on my listing, and people aren't jumping as fast. Mm-hmm. I've had a bunch of buyers that just kind of went, oh, life just happened. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And how long have you been in the business, Kimberly?
About 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Good. That's an awesome year. I love that. So it does. So here you are, 2.5 years of experience of just the most, in the most interesting market for sure in the last 2 years, but the most like just robust go market. And I'm sharing, last week we shared that you're going to take some listings now that, wait, your sellers are going to start calling you going, well, wait, it's been on the market for 14 days. Why don't I have my buyer yet? And how are you going to explain that? So Kimberly, you're right on. And so now I've stepped up that game of now really, you have to really tell your sellers and show your sellers and keep them informed 2 to 3 times a week by sending them the new ad you did, the new Facebook post you did, new everything you did, just to keep them up to speed. So you're driving and giving them the best customer service you possibly can. And I know we're going on buyers this week, or this week today, but last week I had the opportunity. I just said, guys, I want to get on a Zoom call with you. And so I got on a Zoom call with my sellers and I went over the MLS with them and I shared and showed what was going on, what houses that sold, the other 2 or 3 houses that just got reduced, and what do you guys see in the market here with the shift? What would you like to do? And both of them said, let's do a price adjustment, and we lowered the price on both of them. But it was because I was not just sitting back kind of going, okay, what do I say to my client? What do I say? I'm scared to call them, because that's what causes a problem, because then they don't hear from you. Then they kind of go, what's going on? You have to be, that, and help them understand the shift as well, that we want to be aggressive at the same time, but try to protect their equity at the same time. So guys, please do a lot more. I know Sarah, you're in here somewhere. I can't see your picture, but I know that she's blowing it up and just doing fantastic. So she's all, how do I do more? But Sarah,
I was thinking that. I was like, wait a second, when do I sleep then?
yes.
But no, I'm just kidding. It's always about more better, right? And that's what I feel like I learned from you, is how to be more strategic about the more.
How many escrows did you open this week?
Well, actually this week I opened 1 and then got a listing signed. Yeah, but I also lost 2. So
yeah.
That's how it goes.
No, we're getting a lot more people jumping in here. So, but congratulations. So you're learning as you're kind of going here, but we're about a year into the business and you're dominating everything. So that's fantastic. So it is. I was here, Sarah, I'm not going to tell you this, but I will tell you right now that I was in here till about 9:15 the other night, PM, because my wife had some little cooking things she went to with some girls, and says, great, I have all this free time now at my office. So it is, you just got to put, you got to put in that time and that effort on that. So, and those who just joined us, thank you very much for coming in. There is, I just wanted to share this right here, that there's that bit.ly link. I'm going to share this again a little bit later, but it's bit.ly all in with Eric Hatch. And so that actually gives some of the stuff that we're talking about today. But I wanted to say this, and I've always said this too, is that, I've gone through this since 1995, where it was 6 months to sell a house is what the average time was. So the market will not dictate, I can't say it, your personal production, but the mindset will. So I want you guys to realize that when you hear all this fear and this stuff, like when you're trying to cross the road and it's a busy road and you cross the road and you see a car coming, you have this fear in you, right? And then you got to run faster. You got to work harder to get off that street. So I just want you guys to understand that the mindset of where you're at, and Sarah shared that a little bit too, that she's going through some of her firsts in the market of like, wow, I just lost an escrow. Wow, that one just canceled. And then your mindset of like, oh, the world's falling apart because of how does that work? So number one is that new agents, you never spend your commission before you actually see the check. So that's important too. But it's understanding then, like, well, how do you bounce back from that? How do you bounce your client back from that? How do you get your buyer to go and continue searching and seeking houses when they just got outbid by 6 or 7 times on a bunch of houses? Because I understand whoever shared that with that, I think it was Kimber, that you feel like you're working harder, because I know there's some buyers agents right now that are just working with buyers. And if you're working with buyers in the last 2 years, think about how many offers that you had to work to do or get into to put in to even get one house to stick with that particular buyer. So I really feel like with buyers, we've been working 4 to 5 times harder for them in the last 2 years because of what's going on with the market. That will now start shifting a little bit. And now when you have your listings, you're going to have to concentrate a little bit more on longevity with your listings and your sellers and continue that support. And then your buyers with more inventory, you probably will see less multiple bids and stuff. So you'll be able to land them a little bit better. Now, the only question is, how do you get more buyers when Kimberly says they're all taking family breaks and things? So, that's important too, of going out and finding them. And please, there's a ton of YouTube. If you have not been to my YouTube channel, please go to it, because all these classes in the last 2 years are all on there. And there's a ton of ones about getting more buyers and more information there too. All right, so I wanted to go through this checklist. Feel free, comment, raise your hand, say, Eric, I have some questions. But I think, I can't remember what it was like another 100 things. Last weekend was 104 checklist of a seller checklist. That one actually is not, we have not put that one on YouTube. So that one still has to be on there. We've switched the responsibility of a staff member in here. So she's going to be doing that. All right. So The LP Mama, I know we talked about this about 3-4 weeks ago, but you have that nice conversation. I love having 20 to 30-minute conversations. I'm going to go with most of us are probably getting a new lead that's coming on the phone. Walk-in traffic, yes, sit down, share with them as well, but you go through the whole thing. Go back and look at this class: location, price, mortgage, agent relationship, motivation, and appointment. So talk to them a little bit about that. And then you add, now the Chime, that's your CRM. Guys, make sure that you put them in their CRM. Even all of us, like yesterday, there's an offer that I wrote. I met this guy, then I went to go send him an email and I put him in my book, but he was not in my CRM yet. So again, I have stressed that don't lose them, and make sure that you put them in, and then immediately you can communicate with them. Let's see, Mariah. All right, add an auto property search to Chime, or to, I do it through Chime. You guys can do it through your MLS. Make sure you're sending them the right information. I generally call them the next day and I just go, hey, just want to check in with you. Sarah, did you end up getting those homes that I sent over to you? And does it look like we're in the right criteria, right location, right size? Are we good? Just that extra touch, because they could have talked to 2 or 3 agents the day before, just calling on Zillow or something. So drive that customer service, and then ask them what they're doing. And then intro video. So how many people are using video? Sarah's using video. I only get to see like 4 of your faces here, because everybody else is like buried down my screen to keep it small. I would encourage you to do a video, and I don't care how you guys do it. I don't care if you guys talk to the people on the phone and then you just get on your phone and go, hey, this is Eric Catch. When you hit record here, remember, it immediately records. BombBomb gives you like 3 seconds to prep your face. So I shot, you guys will laugh at the new videos I shot yesterday. I shot 11 of them yesterday in about an hour. And they're about 6 or 7 takes for each one of a new series that I'm doing. But you just got to remember, so right before you hit that button, smile, because it will just hit you right up. So you smile, because sometimes it doesn't look great. And you go, hey, I just wanted to say, Sarah, this is Eric Catch with Century 21. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me for a few minutes. I just want to put a face to a name to show you who you'll be working with. And I look forward to seeing you next Monday at 1 o'clock at ABC Banana Street. So just getting that face, do it on a video. You can send them this way. You can do whatever that you want. Loom, I've used this before. LOOM is a free version. You can go and send out little videos there, but do something different than just hanging up the phone and then saying, I will see you next week, because then you show up and they go, no, guys, the house I shared with you guys that I sold in Summit, never met the people, had somebody else show the house, which was Mimi's husband, who was the agent's husband, showed the house for me, because the seller agent had to be present. We wrote the offer up that day, went to Summit. I was at Summit, and I finally met them yesterday, which was really nice. And so when I met them, they said, oh, it's so great to actually finally meet you, but I feel like I know you because of all the videos you sent me. And that was what it was. So he felt comfortable enough because to do business with me for an agent he's never even met before. And here we are doing our like inspections on that. So video is so crucial and so important. All right, so I want to share this with you, and those who didn't come to my class, is that I actually am in escrow with a super cool family. Just chatted with them this morning as well. And I just told her, I said, look, Taylor, I would love to sit down and actually get on a Zoom call with you. And when is it convenient for you and your husband? We did like at 8 o'clock at night. I jumped on there. I had all my maps opened and things I wanted to share about the areas that she wanted to look at. I kind of had the school information, because she was asking about schools. I had all these maps, all these fun restaurants and these fun things to do in our local area. And I got on the Zoom call. We spent like 40 minutes on this phone call, just chatting face to face with us. And I'm writing down like note after note about what she was showing. And I'm showing her my screen and sharing kind of like, hey guys, this is an area that I like. Here's this school district over here. And it was so nice, because then when they came to look at homes, we knew exactly what they were looking for and where they wanted to be. And so it was nice to have that opportunity. So I would encourage, just to build that, there was no doubt that she was not going to use me as an agent after you spend that much time, because you're bonding. Who else actually is going to sit there and have a bonding Zoom meeting when they reach out to 4 or 5 people asking them questions about houses? Who's going to stand out? And who's going to ask them to go and actually have a Zoom meeting? Now, maybe you guys are kind of tired of Zoom, but it works so well. And so now I'm doing that on a regular basis. And it's actually been such a nice opportunity because some of these people aren't coming. I've got a gal that I've been talking to for about a month and a half, and she's finally coming on the 21st that I haven't even met her yet, but I have got her so dialed in and so locked in from customer service because we've been communicating via video and stuff on this and sitting down and actually chatting about the areas and things. So she's excited and we're building up this experience. So when she comes, we're going to just hit it off because we already have a bonding relationship there. So schedule that appointment. Now this, if you guys have video neighborhood, send neighborhood videos. So if they're coming to Lake of the Pines, if they're going to Wildwood, if they're going to Auburn, if you guys don't have some like local videos, go out and create some and just put, here's my 5 favorite things about this community. Here's my favorite thing that I love about the town. Here's what I love about eating downtown or wherever you might be, and share those videos. So then you can just send these videos to them and say, I'm going to send you this video of Lake of the Pines and my 5 favorite things about LOP. And you can send these videos right super quick so they can kind of get a feel of the neighborhood and get a feel of you as an agent, because you should be in those videos commenting in your personality. I've got a send 5 must-dos for buyers. So I've got a series for first-time home buyers. I got a series for little slides and different things and videos of what I can send them to actually help them and say, what I've got, and you guys can get this because I think Jessica probably, she's got something like this too at the title companies, but they'll actually provide you like home buyer guides and some different things that you can actually get from them third party and then present them to them and say, you guys are first-time home buyers. Let me share what I've got for you so you can actually understand kind of the buying process. Now you can take some of their material, you can create your own product, which I've done. So you can actually put together your own product that says, this is what we're going to be doing. This is how it all works, because they have no idea who inspectors are and how do I do this and who a lender is and how do I bring them in and who's going to pay for my septic? Do I pay for septic? Do I pay for well? So it brings them all in and shows all these videos for them. And feel free, guys, I'm just going to keep going, but I want you guys to stop me if you guys have any questions on this. All right. How many people are doing buyer broker commission agreements? So I got to go down lower to see who else. Do I have any more faces? Oh, look at all these other faces. Hello. So I've got some faces, got some waving there. So welcome you guys. Look, I got all these people buried down here on the screen. Hello. It's good to see you, everyone down here. So about half the time. So I want to share a little bit. This is what I've been doing. And you guys, you could kind of feel if you get this buyer that just shows up out of nowhere and you kind of like, I wonder where this person is. They just instantly want to see your house and you're going to go drive. You ask them if they're working with agents, they're not. And if they put an offer on that property right away, you go, okay, well, that's really sweet. Like I did with this double-ended, this one little trailer that I did recently. But what's nice though, is you kind of, I don't know if this person, especially when they say, yeah, I just like to work with you because I don't really have an agent. And they said, no worries. I'm including this buyer broker agreement in with that saying, hey, I just want to, and I'm letting them know it's there. I'm not just trying to bury it in there, but I want, if I'm going to go to the trouble of A, showing the house, B, writing an offer on the home. And if they don't get that house, I feel like I have some kind of agency relationship going on here. And I've gotten burned more than once by people who go just throw an offer on it. We sit there for 14 days into contract and then they just want to work with you, but then they just disappear later and they never buy a house and they cancel escrow and leave. So, and go with somebody else because they're just like hunting the listing agents only is what probably would be where they just want to work with them and try to work out a better deal. So I just say, throw this in and go, guys, if I'm going to work with you and we're going to have this working relationship, even if we get this house or not, I'm dropping this in for us right here. And please sign that. I've never had anybody who hasn't signed it yet. So I would encourage that. I know Dan's encouraging that, and it's going to get kind of interesting the next couple of years of, where that might end up going and the commissions where we might be getting commissions. So just get in the habit of doing that. And I loved it. Somebody at the summit was saying, boy, the attorneys and doctors, I mean, you sign stuff that you're going to work with them, but why aren't we doing that? You're signing that the roofing contractors and all these other people that they're giving you some business, just sign it. And this is a good opportunity to take an opportunity to, as they get into contract, or if they get into after meeting them and showing them some properties and they go, boy, you're really nice, I really see why people actually would love to work with you, then say, hey, you know, that was a really nice comment that you just gave. Do you mind if I send you a Yelp review and you can actually take the exact words you just said and actually put them in letter form? Because you got to know where your buyers come from. So if Sarah, if you got a buyer that comes from Yelp, you're going to tie that Yelp conversation in 2 or 3 times when you're actually showing them the property. You're going to say, you know, I so really appreciate you finding me, Sarah, on Yelp. And that what you just said about that is fantastic, because that's probably why you found me on, is because of Yelp and the other comments. I would love to continue building and adding on to that. Do you mind if I send you that and do me a quick little favor, and I'll send that link to you? And you're in the middle of that, having that bonding experience. And then tomorrow they call and go, hey, let's look at 4 more houses. Hey, tomorrow let's go look at 3 more houses. You're in that mode with them. So they can make that comment, then they can give you a Yelp review right up there. And then you can say, fantastic. And then you can work on the Zillow review and things later after some closing. So build them now. So those who have been, you know, young, I guess, in real estate and not that long, this is where your bread and butter is going to come from years down the road, is building these reviews and these you know, Yelp information. Because I don't know, I could probably go back and let's just see what I've got just this week alone, and they're all of them are a lot of Yelp and Google and finding me online and stuff. So hit it hard too. All right, you write the contract. Now this is what important that a lot of us, I mean, how many people are sitting down at their office and writing the contract straight up? Do we have a lot of people, or majority of you are kind of doing things online and sending DocuSigns? Online, I'm gonna go down, shake heads, online, in person, gonna mixed. All right, so what we wanna do here is that, and this is really important, and I shared this before with disclosures as well, is because I've actually in a contract with 2 or 3 houses right now that I've never met the people. I've never met the parents or the kids. I'm dealing with their parents. I mean, so I've got, make sure if you're doing that, you're communicating with and doing double text to 2 different sellers, 2 different buyers, 3 different family members, and you're communicating and keeping it the same. Make sure that if you're dealing with a seller that is maybe getting, unfortunately, splitting up or divorcing, make sure you never text one of those people individually. You double text everything. It's all communication. But I actually like to go through. Takes about 6 to 8 minutes each video, but I go through paragraph by paragraph, and I put my little face up here. Sometimes if I'm at home, or sometimes it's late at night and I'm not, you know, photo ready, then I will just let it just do video only, recording voice only, and just kind of go through and share kind of what I'm doing. Because there's been a lot of times where my laptop is laying on my lap in bed and I'm actually doing recordings. And so that's not a, you know, that is a voice only moment. So, all right. So I want to share here that I just go over the contract with them. And I said, if you have any questions, let me know, because you guys know this, when you send them a contract and 2 minutes later, they sign it and you go, they never read that. There's no way they read that. But if I went over each one, and I've gone back before, if somebody goes, Eric, you never told me that before. And I go, well, you know, I don't want, you know, I remember the video that I kind of sent over to you. Then, you know, I kind of discussed that in that video. Oh, did you? Oh, I'm so sorry I missed it. Just because this will help us give A, better customer service, B, keep us out of trouble in the future if they said, hey, you never said something. And that goes along with disclosures as well. I always go through my disclosure package when your TC sends those over to you. I do a video of the disclosures, and I go page by page in the disclosures and share what it is there, so they understand that what they have in front of them, because it is pretty crazy and daunting of what we're giving them.
Eric, can
yes,
I ask you a question on that point?
Please.
So, you know, I think that I tend to go overboard on that, I think, because mine are not 6 to 8 minutes. Mine tend to be like closer to 45 minutes or an hour, which is just an obscene amount of time for every single contract. So I'm wondering if you could shed some light on what you think are the most important facts to cover, or sections to cover.
Yeah, and I go, you know, maybe I speak a little fast, but I go with whatever that you feel, Sarah, is comfortable for you. If you feel like you need to go 45 minutes, go for it. I might spend 12 minutes if it's a first-time home buyer that has never purchased a home before. If it's a, you know, a savvy investor person that I've dealt with before, I go, hey, these are all the same forms that you saw, click, go, sign. Just, it's not quite that fast, but I kind of basically go over the highlights. So I go over agency, just there's 3 ways to represent a buyer in the state of California. Of course, you know, with this double N that we just did this week, I went a little heavier on that. I went a little deeper. I actually talked about a little bit more that you are being represented, you know, by both, because I've gone into listing presentations before and they go, yeah, we bought this house. We didn't even know that there was even a double end situation. We go, how did you not know there's a double end situation? So there's some weird things that you hear out there. So I spend a little bit of time briefly on that. And I really spend the most time in California, guys, on the first two pages, going over the price, the terms. If there's a free rent back, I share that with them a little bit. I do go over the registered, sex offender kind of database disclosure. I always hit that. I never forget that, because you know why? It's because we actually closed escrow one time and somebody had this registered sex offender next door to them, and they go, you never told me that. Well, it's in the contract. So I always just go, guys, there's a database right here. You're very welcome to go look at it. Just hit that one. I will go over the arbitration mediation in heaviness. Paragraph 12 in California, I'll go over the buyer investigations, but I will also let the buyer know that this property is being sold as is, letting them know that as well. And if I'm presenting an offer to a seller, I always talk about, hey guys, this isn't as is, but the buyer always has the right to come back and actually ask things, and it's all negotiable at that point. So I kind of share that a little bit. I go, those are my big heavy points though, Sarah, of what I kind of share with that. And I'll kind of glance and just show you this is this, and I'll just briefly, and then always just go, guys, if you have any different questions, let me know. And if you feel that they would prefer to go on that live with you, jump on Zoom. It took me an hour and 40-minute appointment just going over a listing agreement in person the other day on a house that's coming up in Auburn. And you guys should see his garage, how organized it is with bins and all labeled and stuff. Then it's an engineered mind. If you guys have an experience doing a deal with an engineer, then you'll have a fun time. All right, so they're amazing.
That was great. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Eric,
yes, Kimberly.
as far as I know, in Nevada, you don't have to disclose sex offenders here.
Yeah, so welcome to California.
There was an older couple selling their house, and someone, a representative from California, called our agent and said, how come you never let them know, or you didn't disclose that? And her poor little people didn't even know her neighbor was a sex offender. They're like, oh, but he's such a nice guy. And anyways, it went through fine. It was just, I was sitting across listening going, oh, wow.
Yeah. And I don't, Kimberly, I don't look, if I go to my community, or if I go to certain communities and I go on that website and I go look now, because of California rule, I have to disclose that. So I don't even want to know if I even have my neighbor or wherever it is, just because of being the liability that I might have. So, maybe some other agents here in California feel like, no, I really should know so I can be a better service. I just point it out and say, guys, here it is. And I've lost a couple deals with some situations similar to that, but more of an 18 and a 19-year-old people and stuff. So boyfriend, girlfriend kind of thing, that they decided not to buy the house because the neighbor, So, and I felt it was probably totally fine because it was a relationship, not some other crazy thing. So just, I definitely hit that one though, here in California. And then there's also pipelines, gas pipelines from California that blew up stuff, but we don't really have that. So I kind of share that a little bit and say, well, we have propane tanks, not really big old, unless it's in Grass Valley with natural gas lines and things. But so, yes, California has so much more. All right. So I want to change. I always go and keep inside again. When I say Chime, that's my CRM. So whatever CRM, I go put it in there. So then that way you can actually, when you're in your CRM and you want to go, let's talk to if you don't have boards that are, well, you probably can't see that, but there's boards back there on the wall that have, things on there, and Sarah's, you probably have yours right behind you, right? That's good. You guys need to have boards. There it is. Boom. So you need to have that so you can see that at all times. But I always like to go into my CRM and drop them into a pending, drop them into a, about to list, sold, whatever it is, just to change them so they get different marketing approaches. And so when I go to do prospecting, I can actually hit them in a certain way. Because what happens here is if you're doing large prospecting to a bunch of buyers, and you throw out a big old thing about an email about, hey guys, here's some new listings, and they go, aren't I in contract with you, Eric? It's kind of embarrassing because my Chime actually, or my CRM has like an AI, that's sitting behind the scenes. And anytime they hit my website, they get an automatic email from me. So if I don't go mute that little AI, then I do get embarrassed every once in a while because they're like, Eric, you put an offer on a house yesterday, and why are we wanting to go look at more homes? So it's kind of embarrassing. So hit that. So watch your systems. Print all your contracts. Obviously, some people, you guys may or not print them. You might just upload them, download them. But I know that our little TC next door, she likes to have them printed, just that contract. Fill out the pending section on zip forms. I'm assuming Kimberly and Nevada, you guys have the zip. Oh, is it zip forms? It's zip forms. Okay, so it is. So it's a Nevada. Ours has a California logo. So you put that in, you do all your little pending, your front page kind of stuff. And again, guys, watch that. It's my pet peeve when we fill out that new printed form on the folder. It just happened the other day that there was a referral that was supposed to be given out, and I cashed the check that morning, came to the office, and then I looked on my website about I needed to do an update for this people, and it was $4,600 that I owed them, and luckily I didn't spend the money. And so, and then what you do right there is your TCs love you when you do that, but you just let them know that, can you take that money out of the next escrow, and then accounting and stuff will actually do that. Do you guys, Kimberly, do you guys get all your checks from Nevada, or does Pam all the way in California send you guys checks from California? Oh, you're on mute, Kimberly. Sorry.
Ron Hoy's wife, I forgot her name right now.
Okay, so all right, so they both do that. Okay, good. So it's on that
in
side.
the
I'm just kind of
Rock
curious. All right, thank you. All right. So acknowledge contracts. I always like to get an acknowledgement. Those who are brand new in the business, please don't just send over an email and say, hey, Kimberly, here's an offer on 121 Main Street. Look forward to hearing from your response. And 3 days later, you haven't heard from Kimberly, and Kimberly you call and go, Kimberly, where's any response on that? And Kimberly goes, oh, well, yeah, you had my email wrong, or oops, no, I missed the email. So always really important just to send a quick text. If you are communicating with that agent via text, I'm going and showing a property, hit them on a text, hit them on a call, email them, and just say, just want to let you know I just sent over that offer, especially in a multiple counter situation. So, then if they accepted the contract on that, then you acknowledge it, open escrow, send your contract to your favorite title officer and your lender. Guys, I've been here in the past where I forgot to send the contract to the lender, and it's 4 or 5 days later, no one really notified the lender. So, it's about just having these on the checklist and going, boom, I got to do this, I got to do this. And again, one of my other pet peeves, you can ask Madison, is this buyer's complete information. I do not like when my title representatives call me and go, can I get your buyer's information? Can I get your seller's information, please? They need to have that information straight up. So provide that for them, give it to them, and then that way they can actually jump on that, get all the net sheets and everything that they need to get over, all the disclosure stuff that all those fancy people get done. Escrow number on there. I love RTCs. If I miss a date, Pam next door sends me my folder back and puts it on my desk and said, hey, you missed a date. So, which is great. So just even me dating something. Check on the contract, who's responsible for what. This happens. If you're a seller, we have lots of septic systems here. And if that's probably my biggest one that I miss every once in a while is like, oops, where's the septic? Go on the contract and go, what is my party? What am I supposed to do? What does my buyer want? What does my seller want? In California, we have this all by BIE, which is this buyer inspection elections. It's a whole page that we can actually check off and go with them. I like to have a conversation with them, Sarah, on that piece of paper, because sometimes if you just send that and say, hey, check off what you want, and they check off 50, 60 different things on that piece of paper, which I've had before, and you go, well, these all cost money, right? And I don't mind if you guys want to spend the money to do that, that's great. But just letting them know, let's start with the general home inspection first, and then let that home inspector kind of dictate what he or she may want to do. And then that way where we can come back and actually order these other inspections here as well. But the septic one, of all of a sudden, when you get a call from the other agent going, hey, where's your septic? Have you ordered it? And so that is something that sometimes gets missed. So go through that. And I'm going to show you right here. I put this right in my checklist now that there's a pest inspection, a well, a survey, a home, a septic, and other. So I just drop them all in there. I may not ever get a survey. I might not even have a septic. I might not even have a well because it's in the city, but I'm just dropping them in here. So then I can go in, and my checklist is I have a little checkbox over here that you can't see. I check that off, and then it will either disappear or put a line through it. Depends on which one that I want. So then I can see, and I could have Madison, and I understand I can go on there because Madison and I jump on this at 7:30 every morning and go, hey, let's go to checklist. Where are we at with every transaction? Because when you're in with one transaction, 2 transactions, 3 transactions, and Sarah, what do you got? 4 or 5 somewhere in your head right there? So 7. So when now Sarah just went from like 2 transactions, like maybe 40 days ago, to 7 transactions, Is your head exploding? So it kind of does. So when you get up to like 17 or 18 transactions, then you're like, you have to have checklists, or you're just going to be like, where am I at? How am I even moving? So again, you want to provide that customer service. Guys, I don't like when my clients call me, my seller calls me and asks me a question for an update. I want to be on top of it. I want to let them know this is what's happening. This is what we're doing this week. Here's what just happened this week. And if they go, hey, the buyer goes, hey, get the inspections back yet? And then you find out that you got them 2 days ago. That's not good. So you want to make sure as soon as you get those inspections, as soon as you get those items, I want to tell you something here. I don't know what your guys' TCs do, but I know like when we get from Victoria and all I I think Jessica's still in here somewhere too. But if you guys get the HOA documents, or you get the preliminary title report, a lot of times they send that to you and it sends to your TC, but maybe your TC didn't send that to the buyer. So I always send that out. I always send to my seller if I get notified by the title officer that they put their EMD, their earnest money deposit, in escrow. I like to go back and say, boom, the money's in. I'll go to the agent if I represent the buyer and say, hey, I just want you to know, you may not have seen this, but here it is. They emailed both, but boom, there it is. I don't like the seller calling me going, has the buyer put their deposit in there yet? And you as an agent don't know that answer. That's another embarrassing moment. So I always like to just, yes, go ahead.
There was one of my clients kind of put me through a rigmarole, what do you want to call it? So my next house that I listed, I actually sent her a snapshot of the purchase agreement of all the things that someone might check off to do.
Mhm.
And I circled it and I said, you might have them checking on the well, you might have this. If you have any documents from any of this, bring it forward, let me know. And she went ahead and had all these inspections done herself, just so that they were done.
Mhm.
And it was kind of funny because I thought, oh, maybe it was a little overkill, but I got a little scared because I was like, I didn't want to have to go through this again
Yeah.
with a seller or buyer. So it was kind of funny. I'm like, just please make sure all this is done before we put your house on the market.
Mhm.
And she
And I
liked
have-
that.
I kind of have some mixed feelings on home inspections being done by a seller, just my personal preference. You guys can choose. So Kimberly, thanks for bringing that up. I feel that if my seller does a home inspection and then we give that to them and they use that home inspection, and then down the road something's missed, and they'll come after, well, Mr. Seller, you guys provided this to us. It's your home inspector. It's, you did. So I think there's a little bit more liability on that. But I think from a registered pest and company or a well or septic that are bona fide, insured / your local guys that you would probably call anyway, then I'm totally fine. So, but yes, getting inspections up front. And that was some things that I did yesterday, Sarah. That's what I should show you that video series last night. All those videos I was going around the house doing. Now, this is what happens. Clean your vent and 10 things to get your house ready. And then Shannon goes, oh, my vent's dirty. So then she goes and starts cleaning it. Then I open up underneath the sink, my wife, and then she's like freaking out. And then she's going in and cleaning that. So Eric, you're showing all the bad things about our house. So I said, sweetie, but it's all right. It's good. So, just that's what's important to prep your house. We're not selling, sweetie, so don't worry about it. Surveys, let's see, other countdown dates. Now I use this company called Ametree. You guys could probably do a Google Drive, Google Calendar, whatever that you want to do. But I actually just use it. It's $25 a month, and it actually puts all the dates. Every TC, every agent, you guys will always get here in California, their TC and our TC, they all of a sudden you get this, here's our dates in the day after contract's accepted, and boom, here's your contingency release date, here's your loan, here's all your stuff. Do you guys get that in probably in Nevada too, of just kind of there? So now you want to take both of those from the two TCs and you want to match them, and you want to actually then make sure, and I always invite the Jessica's. I don't know, Jessica, do I invite you or is it only Victoria? So Jessica, am I inviting you? No, I'll invite you. You probably don't want the timelines of every escrow I have with you, right?
I have my own timeline, but I would love yours too.
All right, I will start inviting you so you can see it, but then you can just ignore them because that's a lot.
I have all your stuff on a spreadsheet.
All right.
I do my own because I'm
All
with
right,
my
good.
pay.
Good. All right, so so I always like to let the lender, I invite the TC, I invite the other agent, I invite their TC, and I invite the title rep to actually, and our escrow officer to be on the same page. So everybody knows when that house is going to be recording and closing. And I always like to let the buyer know that, guys, I know that we're going to project that it's going to be June 5th, it's our close date, but please, that's a moving date depending. And I always like to let them know that, because I've gotten burned a couple of times, is why are we not closing, especially on sellers? Why are we not closing? If I'm in my business, if I have a closing date, this is my closing date, and why are those loan docs late? Guys, we can't control a lot of things. We can't control Monday holidays. We can't control things that just kind of come up. So I always just let them know up front, that's a moving date. We could close a day earlier or a day later, but when we get about 14 days towards that date, we will then be able to lock in our moving trucks, and because we'll have a better idea where we're at, because there's so much moving parts that we have to go through. Yesterday, this little seller says to me, oh, I'm so excited, congratulations, oh, it's done. I'm all, no, we're not done. We've just begun to situate, the whole entire transaction here. So just because we got an offer doesn't mean that we're, running off and moving here, because there's a lot more things to do. All right, so I always like to let everybody know and be on the same page. Acceptance date, well, in California, it's the following date after the contract gets accepted. Inspection contingency date, appraisal contingency, loan contingency. Then I invite them. Proof of funds. I know that my TC is always asking me, hey, where's the proof of funds? So if you get, a lot of times us as agents, for some reason, we kind of have, here's all the information that we send, here's all the contract, but then the proof of funds sometimes usually mysteriously comes in a different email. So just make sure that they give it all to them, so your TC is not hunting that down. And there are times where we'll provide our TC and information months earlier, and then they ask for it again, but we've already sent it, but just smile and send it again. All right, loan approval to listing agent, check, that was a check deposited. Our lovely Avid, what did you guys, Kimberly, do you guys have a disclosure that you guys have to give, your own agent disclosure? Hello, mother, I'll call you. My mom's visiting, but she just left. Do you have to do a disclosure to like you as an agent going into a house, and then have something that you have to disclose 3-4 pages? No, oh, you guys are so lucky and bad. I think I'm moving to Minden. All right, so
I think we just have to have loan approval within 5 days of accepted offer.
yeah, so there's all this stuff that we have to do as agents, physically walking into a house and actually and filling out all this paperwork, which is kind of a pain. So, and I would give a heads up right here, Sarah, and those in California, because with California Fair, I now am taking a picture when I'm going to the listing of the front of the house and the address sign straight up, because yesterday I had to go to my other buyer, my house. I have an escrow from a buyer that I had to go there yesterday and take the pictures, because those insurance people want that information like right ASAP, and boom, boom, boom. And now I had to take 20, 30 more minutes out of my time to drive over there to go get it. So just take a picture of those homes. And I'm actually, guys, I'm going with my Avid, those are in California. I'm actually seriously taking pictures. If my people are acting like, oh, I love this home, I think this is the one, I'm going through, as they're looking at it, I'm going picture of the crack there, picture of the little damaged carpet here. I'm doing my Avid as we're going, as I'm there at the house. I have a listing I'm going to in 2 weeks that's 1 hour and 4 minutes away from me. You think that I'm going to want to go back there more than 2 or 3 times? So I will make sure that you're smart. Always have an extra sign in your trunk. Always have a lockbox in your car, and that way you can go with that too. So that's my mom back there, but she's got a blurry screen. So hello, mother. What are you doing?
Oh, I didn't know you were in.
It's all right.
Video.
All right. So let's see. Do a video description disclosures. That one right there. What I do is, it's really nice. My TC just sends the disclosures. You probably get them, and then I just have if you guys, those who have assistants, they can actually put it all in a draft for you on DocuSign. She sticks it over in a draft in my email, and then she goes, Eric, you got drafts to do, and I'll just go to the draft. They're already in there, because I always like to send them a PDF copy, and so they can read it a little bit more if they would like to. And then I do my video description, and make sure you let them know that you're going to be sending that DocuSign right behind it.
Do you want the vanilla in your trunk, or?
Oh, in here, it's fine. Yeah, thank you. All right, you guys were getting the delivery of the most amazing Mexican vanilla that my family in Mexico for years and generations actually makes it. So so it's yummy, yummy. All right. Okay, so let's see. Send inspectors video template. All right, so okay, that I actually, when you actually, that number 28 right there is that you have to be careful not to just have one inspector and say, who do you want to use, or just be proactive and just, you want to give them a list. You don't want them, that buyer, to then come back to you and say, well, that was your inspector too. So I generally have about 2 to 3 people. I do put my top person that I really like on the top of that list. And I basically then send this video out to them and say, guys, here's a video. Here's these individual people that I've used. Here's your local, inspectors. I have them all in there. So if it's a well or septic or whatever it is, if you're not on a well and septic, make sure you just backspace and erase those off, because then that will confuse the buyer and go, well, I thought you said this wasn't on a well, and why are you giving me a well inspector? So take those off. That's the same with the utility email that I'm going to show you here shortly as well. Get disclosures from Vicky. Sorry, it's gonna be over a few minutes.
I gotta run.
Okay.
This is from your dad.
Oh, thank you.
That's your stuff, but
All right.
those were his too.
Oh, that's very sweet of you. All right.
They're box.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to see you. Have fun.
I'm gonna come by and get the thing later. And that window I had to replace, I haven't left it in my trunk.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Mom. All right, guys, the fun things we have here in the office. All right. So disclosure, so I let them know who I would, do some basic, some inspector video to let them pick and choose. Oftentimes they're just going to say, Eric, I just, I don't know anybody, because I always will go, do you guys know anybody in Grass Valley, Auburn, wherever it's at? Do you want to use anybody? The other day we did have a buyer that actually did have a family friend or acquaintance or somebody, and we went with them. That wasn't even on my list, but you want to give them that opportunity. Most of the time they'll just say, you know what, Jessica, whatever, just whoever you feel is the good one to choose. Now, if you have that in an email format or a video format that's coming back to you, that's there you go. There's your email that you can go, look, you asked me to choose if there was a problem with the buyer or with the seller, with the inspector before. And my inspector, if he misses something, they stand up and he takes care of it, which is great because we're human. All right. Disclosure on the agency with the video, just DocuSign disclosures to buyer. This again is kind of, well, that's not spelled right there. Disclosure is, I want to make sure I get the disclosures back from the buyer. And this is kind of what this is one that I'm kind of a little pet peeve on. This one too, is a lot of times we send out those disclosures and we don't get them back. It is an everyday occurrence in my office that we go to DocuSign every morning and we look to see who's in DocuSign and who hasn't signed the things. I think I got 4 or 5 people I'm waiting for on things that aren't back yet. So then we remind them every morning. Then before we leave that day, I do it again. I have to text them and go, hey, can you please go in and sign that? I kind of need that right away. So disclosures back from buyer. And if we've given those to the agent, I don't want to get a call from the agent and saying, hey, where are the disclosures? I just don't like that. Gather any reports. This is kind of something that's super crucial. I know that Old Republic's doing a class, I believe, on staying out of court, I think, in PCAR coming up here soon. But this is one right here, is that if you guys, any of the reports, as Kimberly was discussing those reports, if you get those reports and I get the report that comes to me because the other agent or I had another one, and I don't give those to the TC and they don't put them on this little piece of paper, which is all the receipt of reports, or they don't initial that report and there's something missing and there's a problem, arbitration, mediation after close of escrow, that's a problem. The one that gets missed most in this category is when you have 2 or 3 supplemental reports from the pest people. So if they come back out to the property the second time and the third time, trust me, your TC is not counting how many times that they're coming. If you have a good TC, they'll actually know that says a supplemental and this says the full report. They'll go, wait, I got a couple different reports here, because they are dated. But you need to have this paper trail really good. And that's really important to continue to show that to your buyer at the same time and go, okay, this is what we've got coming. Here's what they just came. We just did a supplemental on a house yesterday and the report came back and now we're good. And there one the other day that there was a supplemental and they had to come back and spray for the termites. So now I have 3 different bids and bills that I wanted to make sure that I gave Vicky so we could put in there. So if the buyer all of a sudden 2 years down the road goes, no one ever told me that we had termites in the house. Well, wait, the seller took care of those. Here's your receipt of reports that you signed that you saw that we sprayed for termites there and some cellulose debris. Do the request to repair. So I'm assuming in zip forms, it's RR in Nevada. So RR. So if I say something, what in the world is that? Just stop me, because I'm sure there's some things on that. Getting their response back. And now this is a crucial one right here, because there's a new agent years ago that actually negotiated a $2,000 deal, everything. And guess what? We're 2 days going to close, and title came back and said the lender never got the $2,000 credit. The title officer never got the $2,000 credit, and the buyer's loan docs are expiring. And what are we going to do with that? There are some magic things that I'll tell you off camera, so I'll let you guys know those later. But in a nice way here is on that particular one, we went ahead and found Richard, Sarah, when Richard was available. He came out and did the work, and then we just send a quick bill for that pest work and stuff that, you know. So anyway, there's some things that you can do to get around that, because the buyer wanted the $2,000. You know, the buyer and seller agreed to it, but if the lender doesn't have it, the lender can't put it in, and you have to redo all your complete loan docs and stuff. This one is very important to you. Well, it is to me, because you'll lose money. Like the other day, I forked out $500 for my pest guy. I had $350 of a lawn mowing service. You know, these are ones that I put on the bottom of my folder. If I do pay anything, I'm putting them on the bottom of my folder and saying, make sure I get reimbursed for that, because I like to pay my guys immediately, because if I say I need the weed eating done today or tomorrow, they'll jump and go do it. And they know that my well guy, my weed eating guy, they know that the check will be sitting on the desk right there, so they can come get it that same day. They're not chasing me waiting for a payment to close escrow and stuff. I just don't like that. I want good, quick service. And so I do. So there is sometimes that I get burned because I forget. So I always tell Madison, hey, like the other day, an electrician just called me up and said, hey, where's my bill? So I'm all, Madison, where's that bill? So I can't blame her on everything, but anyway, full release of all contingencies. We haven't even got to the good stuff, and I have like 5 minutes to go. Buyer walkthrough. Guys, if you aren't able to do a buyer walkthrough because they're out of town, I suggest that you get on a Zoom link so you can record that Zoom link, and you actually go through the house with them on Zoom, and you walk through the home, you show them the house, you come back, you actually then record that, or you record that Zoom and you stick it somewhere, so then you can actually have proof that you were there at the house and enjoying your buyer walkthrough. All right, so it's really crucial on that. Send closing video. This is beforehand with all my utilities. Again, if you don't have PG&E or it's a different Rockland or whatever you got, make sure you just take out the names that you don't need, or whatever the utility was for the internet or whatever it was, and just cancel that out, or send that, or erase some of it and then send what applies there. And then review closing sheet. I always like my people, guys, you do not want to have Jessica sitting there in a signing and I'm not present, and then the buyer or the seller starts flipping out because what is this fee and what is that fee and what is this? It just helps them so much better to have that piece of paper. So I'll jump on a quick video, or I'll just call them. I'll hand it to them if I'm at the buyer walkthrough. And guys, here's our estimated net sheet. Please review this. If you have any questions, call Jessica, because she's really good at answering those questions about how taxes are paid in the rear and all sorts of weird things. So but I would just let them know from what I see, from what contractually for you and I and the buyer and the seller, everything in here is good, but feel free if you have any lender questions or title questions, that is, in their wheelhouse. So feel free to reach out and chat with them about those. So that way, when they get there, that they just go, yep, I've already reviewed this. This looks the same. Boom, sign, done. All right. So it just speeds things up, especially if you go to signings and you want to be at the signings, it will speed things up way more. Send closing. Yep. That's it. All right. Confirm buyers. Now, when this is closed. Now, here's the most important part in 4 minutes of this whole entire conversation is about what you guys do with your people at the very end, because technically you are not going to just want to just find new buyers every single time and not have them ever come back and repeat as a potential seller. So staying in communication with them. If you came to my class, it was, there was some great stuff in there, but I want to change them into Chime to make sure they're in the right location. If they moved out of the country or out of the state, I want to make sure I put them as a past client, but if they're local, they're going to be my VIP club. I put their birthdays or anniversary dates into my CRM system. I put them on a prompt sphere and be there. I do send out my Starbucks VIP card. If you guys don't know what that is, you can stay a little longer and we can chat. I set up in HomeBot. I give my closing gift as my knife. I do an address stamp for my older clients. I make sure that you claim the listing on Zillow. They're doing a good job right now. If there's a 30-day truck party, a food truck, you can do that. You can bring pizzas. You can do sold cars that my sweet wife comes in and does, approves the real satisfied reviews, post reviews. And first night following up on the calendar. Now that's important. I always like to call the next morning, and go, how was it? And I'll call 3 days later too. How was the stay? Anything that we can help you with? How are everything? Any issues or any problems? How's the sprinklers? How's your internet? What else can I do to help you? 7-day follow-up. Just wanted to remind you, there's a video for this too. I want to remind you that we have our home warranty. So please, if anything breaks, call me first, because I might be able to help you out a little much quicker because of the relationship that I have with Tara. 30-day follow-up, get get select card from Pam. We mail that out. We erase off the whiteboard. We flip a number, because I have these number charts here of how many houses and things I need to do. And then we go, I'm going to ask for a review email. Then I'm going to go at second one, a third one, and a fourth one. And I want to actually go and put these in my calendar 6 days out, 9 days out. And I want to really hammer them a little bit on that in a polite way, that I want those reviews, because you guys need to have those reviews. I got my customer photos, my send bomb video. I do want to tell you, I'm actually set up a Zoom interview with one of my sellers in the near future. As soon as she moves to Kentucky, we are going to get on Zoom. We're going to record it. And she, unfortunately, the sweet thing, lost her husband, and it was really difficult. And so this was hard to sell her home on her own. And we're going to have a heart-to-heart recorded conversation, and she's going to share with her the experience of going through and working with me. And that is going to go on my Google page. That's going to go on, a lot of things to be able to share how and what makes me different, to be able to help and assist. And you guys, please do take whatever idea that you want and throw that down, because anything is better than nothing. All right. Testimonials. Thank you. The title of this is important right here. It's like, Jessica, thank you so very much for just your outstanding, work. So anyway, I like to do that. All right. Thank you, video to agent and Chime. And this is important if you're in a small community. Don't just ignore that. Don't ignore and just say, hey, we're going to do another one. Don't be that agent that nobody wants to work with. It's like, hey, Sarah, I just want to know, that was so sweet. You're so amazing. Thank you so much. Let's do this transaction again, over and over and over again. And that just goes a long ways, because we are a small community. All right. Send out video, VIP video. That's another thing for my after close. And then put on the closing sheet. I always like, guys, I have a spreadsheet that every single escrow goes on it. So now I've got 15 years in a row. I think we finally got on it online, but we actually can see what year after year after year, and we've got them on spreadsheets, so I can actually go back and look. Because I will go back. The other day, just had diversing here a little bit, but like yesterday, it was a couple of days ago, but I went back to 2021, and I go look and says, who actually sold a house in May? Now I have some bomb videos and stuff that are going out, but then I called them up. I said, hey, just want to let you know, just congratulations. You know what today is? He goes, no, how are you, Eric? I go, it's your anniversary. It just stands out when you can actually have these now physical conversations versus just a video that I'm sure he got as well. But I just like to just be different and chat with them. All right, guys, the average lifetime of value of client is $177,000. So take care of them. Yes, Sarah.
I have a question. Would you put your the spreadsheet that you have, your closing spreadsheet, obviously an empty one, in the bit.ly all in with Eric patch as well, please?
I would be happy to. So I will let me do this, stop sharing.
It's nice to take advantage of all of the